Why the hell is somebody asking about 20 years ago?
What do you mean? Why wouldn't they ask him about 20 years ago?
Welcome to the show.
Yeah, I know we just went live. I was hoping you'd be more fun if you didn't know that. All right, welcome to the Practical Pistol Show. My name's Ben Steger. I'm here to answer your shooting questions. Next to me, Matt Hopkins. Probably doesn't need an introduction. And we have to settle for Tim Myers as our producer because Candice is busy hopefully winning a match. Or High Lady at a match anyway.
Howdy.
Not a win. Do you want to get into that? You know how much trouble I get in whenever we fucking talk about that shit?
I want to talk about it.
What do you think, Tim?
Yeah, Tim. High Lady, is that a win? Go.
I'm not a current national champion, so my opinion doesn't matter, but I would like to know your opinion.
I think it matters.
I think your opinion matters, Tim. Don't sell yourself short.
I would like to know about what Matt Hopkins' opinion is of the SP01 Shadow versus the Stock 2 and why.
Oh, fine. Okay, we'll do the Matt Hopkins questions. We're going to come back to it, and then you're going to talk about why you hate lady shooters. And
I'm a fan of lady shooters.
You're sponsoring a lady shooter to give yourself cover because you're all misogynistic and shit.
False.
Which
Matt
part
Hopkins.
was false? You are sponsoring a lady shooter, are you not?
Roger. Matt Hopkins,
Yes.
SP01 versus Stock 2, and why?
I think they're both pretty equal. They both have their plus and minuses. I mean, obviously, you can get a Shadow a lot easier in a Stock 2. And the aftermarket parts are a lot more available and cheaper. And there's better gunsmiths, right?
And I hear there's excellent part support from the CZ USA, too.
I've also
That's
heard
absolutely true. The guy who does all the ordering is actually very good at it.
I have heard that the Stock 2s are better. That's what I was told.
All I know is we sell a lot more CZ holsters than Stock 2 holsters.
God, we do. Shit, goddamn,
like,
we do.
way more. Holy smokes.
That was a tough conversation to have with Tanfoglio at the SHOT Show. Like, number one sellers for us, CZ shit. Number two, Glocks. Very
It's true.
distant number three.
It's true.
Stock 2s. Distant. Like, not even fucking in it.
Like if they would give you the guns, though, you think that would be better, right?
It would be better for selling the guns if we had guns, yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Okay, next question. You guys ready? Do you feel the level of talent in USPSA is more, less, or equal to what it was, let's say, 10 years ago? I don't know how long y'all have been shooting.
I started in 2008, so I only know from then on, but I shoot with a guy that shot since the early 90s, and he says the talent is way more now. He says if you were like a master 10 years ago, you'd be in A-class now, and you wouldn't even be really competitive.
But also, do you think their perspective is skewed because they're old and slow now? And that's an honest question.
I think he's seen it both ways.
Whoa!
No, I've had this conversation with a former world champion, or somebody who shot with a former world champion, and he thought the talent...
Which was it? Was it a former world champion or some guy that fucking shot with one time?
No, I had a conversation with somebody who was friends with this guy, and he said that he thought the talent was better today than it was then. But my buddy was thinking that, well, he's just old and slow now, so his perspective is skewed.
Yeah, but the time doesn't change, though. I mean, the times people are running stages and shooting and everything.
Yeah, but in USPSA, you're not shooting the same stages, right?
Yeah, but all the classifiers have stayed the same for the last 10, 15 years.
No, but this guy was shooting like 20, 30 years ago, right? So.
Well.
My feeling from any interactions I've had with people that have been around a really long time, it's not just their perception, but kind of my perception of them and reading between the lines a little bit. I feel like the talent, the top tier talent has gone up a little bit, but there's a lot of guys that are kind of like people that want to, they can train more, and like regular, Joe Blow retards can get pretty good at shooting.
Information is a lot easier to get to. Also.
Yeah, there's assholes writing, books and putting stuff out there.
Podcasts
it's like
and shit like that.
Podcasting, Googling things. So there's a lot of information out there. It's easier to get better, I think. But I mean, from watching footage of the mid-'90s, that era, like 20 years ago, the top guys then look pretty damn stout. Like Rob Latham in the mid-90s, he would stack up pretty well today. You know, so at the top level, I'm not sure that the talent has gotten that much higher. But there's a lot of other goons that are really good, and the sport's, you know, grown as well.
Seems fair.
Yeah, I would.
Do you agree with that, Matt?
Yeah, and I mean, I've only been shooting for like 6 years, so.
I've only been shooting for like not even 10.
Alrighty then. Okay. How long does it take for dry fire improvements to show up in live fire? Do the improvements just happen, or do you have to work on them when you get to the range?
You have to work on them, obviously. And you can incorporate it into a stage, but just falling back on your habits, you might not do it. It takes a while to unlearn something and change also, right?
I will say this. I feel like improvements that you make, regardless of how you make them, so live fire, dry fire, the improvement shows up immediately, but that assumes that you're doing the same stuff. So like a good example would be if people feel they aren't accurate, they might go dry fire, really slow, careful trigger presses, which realistically when they're shooting a stage, they never shoot that way. They're always going to be, you know, shooting quickly, so how fast you can, or so how straight you can pull the trigger really slow doesn't really, you know, realistically it doesn't really matter. So you might have people say, hey, I'm dropping too many points. They go work on a dry fire drill, which is pretty much irrelevant, and then they go continue doing, you know, shooting stages just as shittily as they were before. But if their dry fire training was, you know, better focused on what it is they were actually trying to improve, they're going to see those improvements right away. Because a lot of times, you know, I think one thing I see a lot of is people having a big disconnect between what they're doing in dry fire and where it is they're trying to get. So they might do some dry fire drill that is not relevant or not helpful, where they may, you know, do it in a completely different way. Another good example is like people working on drawing quickly in dry fire. A very common scenario is where you see them draw the gun quickly, get the sights on target quickly, but they like never really establish a firm grip, like a realistic grip that they would, you know, need if they were actually going to fire their gun. So like the kind of all the work they do in dry fire, it doesn't really matter, because when they go shoot real bullets, they're like, oh, I'm going to grip the gun hard now, and it's going to take a lot more time, and they never really are practicing the stuff that they're going to be doing.
But let's say you just go from bullet nose forward to bullet nose out. That's something that can easily be done in dry fire and doesn't really have to be done in live fire, in my opinion, right?
Yeah, well, like
you could cement that stuff pretty easily in dry fire.
Yeah,
I think so.
Absolutely.
Yeah. All right, next question. Once you get serious about getting better, how long did it take you, or how long did it take until you started kicking butt at matches? How much dry fire were you getting in, and which drills paid off the most?
Jesus Christ. Well, okay, we're going to make that a three-parter.
Yeah.
First part, which was what?
Once you get serious about getting better, how long did it take until you started kicking butt at matches?
I'd say probably summer 2010 is when I started getting serious. Was like 13th at nationals that year. Then got my GM card like less than 6 months after that. So I'd say within a year probably. But I mean, I had realistic goals all throughout that. Like I didn't say I was going to win nationals right then. I wanted to finish top 16, did that. Then I wanted to get my GM card, so it's all realistic. You have to have steps, I think.
I still haven't. I'm going to take this seriously someday, I think. I don't know when that's going to be.
Okay.
Part two.
Two-part.
How much dry fire were you getting in, and which drills paid off the most?
I'd say I stay between 30 minutes and an hour, no more than that. I get distracted kind of easily, and I like to put as much effort into
Dude,
it.
a fucking hour is a long time.
Yeah, but you can get
That's a long-ass time to do dry fire.
worn out doing that shit, too. Like your hands hurt.
I wouldn't be like, well, I can only dry fire for an hour. I get distracted easy. Tim did 5 draws before we went on the show.
He did more than me today.
Well, that's fair.
Haters.
I'm not hating on you. I'm just saying like the average person's attention span is.
Mine's very short with it. Yes.
Yeah, and that's not weird.
30 minutes is a long time for me.
To dry fire.
Yes, to dry fire. Sorry. Like producer Candice may do what, 4 hours? I mean, she's kind of crazy. Like
she's fucking out of her mind though. She doesn't
Just
count.
4 hours of dry fire.
She's
after,
done like
after
7
2 hours of live fire.
He's like, I dry fired 7 hours and I hurt today. Like, no shit, really.
That's fucking crazy.
That's fucking crazy. That bitch is fit for a straitjacket.
Yeah.
Whatever. Next question. Let's go.
Okay, next one. Sorry.
Do that shit up.
What was part 3?
Fuck part 3.
All right.
Which drills paid off the most? That was a question. That was part
which
3.
drills paid off the
The
most?
Hopkins drill, obviously. I like drawing. I like doing basic stuff in dry fire. I don't get real complicated. I don't do stages in dry fire. I have a Tuesday night match where I can practice stage tactics and stuff at. Then I get to reshoot stages, so I can kind of work on that there.
Okay. Next question is, once you got all the different technical components of shooting in order, fast draws, fast reloads, good transitions, etc., how did you get to the next level to become top 16 finisher at Nats? And there's more to it, but let's go with that first.
Yeah, let's go with that. Top 16. So from being pretty good to being top 16, Matt, what's it take?
It has to do with stages. I mean, and over a whole match and being consistent throughout that. That's something I've had to work on a lot, is consistency. Like, I could put up a stage win, but then if you do that and then you fucking bomb the next stage, it doesn't work out overall for the match.
All right, I've talked about this a few times.
Consistency.
I'm going to jump in because I've talked about it a few times. And Matt, maybe you've been to this place I'm about to talk about, but there's so many motherfuckers that want to be top 16 at nationals because, in my opinion, top 16, you get it like the top 16 gets recognized, specially at nationals. They'll get a plaque and all that stuff. And I feel like top 16 is a place that like a regular guy couldn't get there. Like if you're really good at it, if you're pretty good at your local level, master, grand master, or whatever, and you put in the time, like top 16 is very achievable. And I think that's fair, right, Tim?
I agree.
I guess, man. I don't know. Yes, I agree.
Maybe
with you, yes.
you don't put in the work for you.
No.
I mean, like top 16 is achievable for regular dudes.
Yeah.
And
you're right.
Seems like every nationals will go there, and there'll be a few guys who are like, yeah, I would have been. I wanted to be top 16 really bad, but if I had to, fuck this up and fuck that up, I'd have done it. Just give me that stage back, and I'd have been top 16. Like that's
I hear that a lot. I hear that
all the fucking time. So the way to get into the top 16 is to shoot a good match, not just shoot a few good stages and then fucking tank another stage. That's not going to get you where you want to go. Yeah.
Fair enough.
Do some mistakes, I guess, is what that breaks down to, right?
Yeah, don't fuck up. Is the
Okay,
next
then
way of saying it. Yeah.
the next part of the question is, what's the biggest difference shooting-wise between you now and 2 to 3 years ago?
Interesting. I've changed how I think about stages and think about the match. It's a lot of what attitude you bring into it. Shooting-wise, I shoot faster. I'm better at stage breakdowns. I'm faster through the stages. More accurate. I don't know.
I would say Matt is slightly faster and way more consistent than he used to be.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Does your training differ a lot now from when you did a few years ago?
Absolutely. Recently, like within the last few years, I've taken dry fire more seriously, and I think that's amounted to the consistency part of it.
Okay. Next one is, what's the difference between you at this moment and someone who finishes top 16 at the World Shoot?
It's a pretty good question. I've actually thought about that a lot. I hate to say this, but IPSC is more of a physical game, and Ben can probably agree with that.
Yeah, it is.
There's not been a nationals in the last 10 years where you had to go prone on a stage.
Not 2007.
All right, one out of the last 10 years.
One time.
And you had to go prone at least, what, 3 or 4 times?
Yeah, they had some. Yeah, there was. It was
a physical match.
It was a lot
I
more
can see
physical.
where my physical ability is less than it should be.
Okay. Next question. What recoil spring are you running in your SPO1?
My God, who fucking cares?
I actually run a 14-pound.
14 pounds. Boom. I run a 14.5 in mine.
Totally different guns, though.
No, I'm talking about my SPO1.
Okay. Yeah.
14.5.
There you go.
Okay. Something related to the question before is you aren't exactly a smaller, nimble guy. How do you compete? How do you compensate to beat more athletic shooters?
I don't think the sport, you have to be real athletic to be good in it, you know?
See
It is
that?
one caveat to that is Area 3, what Sherwin puts on the track meets.
That's a motherfucker.
Yeah.
I think what Matt's saying is he doesn't compensate for that. He just shoots.
Pretty much, yeah.
Okay, and our last question is, since you started back dry fire regularly, have you seen big improvements in your match score?
I think that's pretty easy to say. Dry fired pretty regularly in 2010, was 13th in nationals.
God.
Right? 11?
It sounds like Tim borrowed Candice's cat.
Oh, okay.
Dude.
So
asshole.
2010, I was 13th. Then what? 11, 12, 13. I was 20, 21st. And then
You got depressed, man.
yeah, I did.
You were fucking depressed.
So then I started actually practicing in late 13 and 14 and was 7th. So you can track it that way there.
And that is all we have for today.
That's it?
That's all you got, Tim? You don't have anything special?
Tim, what
I feel like I did, but I forgot it. What was it? Help me
what
out,
products
guys.
do you want to be slinging in the pro shop?
We have a lot of really baller case gauges, and y'all need to start buying them.
Case gauges? For
Yes.
why would I gauge cases?
Because you want your gun to run properly at a major match.
Ain't nobody got time for that. What are you
Yeah.
talking about?
Matt Hopkins, do you gauge your ammo?
I gauge all my ammo.
He uses that EGW fucking 50
That's
round
just
thing.
because I had it before you guys had yours. And
Throw
I
that.
want to pay Tim.
Dude, Tim he's got so much money. Y'all, if you want a discount, just email Tim at shopping@bensugarproshop.com.
And earn a
Oh,
discount code
yeah.
GUMP.
Discount code GUMP. There you go. Bam. All right, if you want to reach Matt Hopkins, it's mhop6
Facebook, Matt
No
Hopkins.
Facebook.
653 at
Facebook. Matt Hopkins.
Gmail, whatever. Yeah, Facebook, Matt Hopkins. That's a better way to do it. If you want to talk to me, head over to bensteger.com, or if you want to tell Candice that you really wish she'd stop shooting matches so we don't have to suffer through Tim, that's at Producer Kermit on Twitter. So that should do it for our show today. And after this, we'll be back to regularly scheduled discussion topics and questions for me and stuff that you've come to expect. Yeah? All right.